Hello and welcome to National Focus. I am Julian Morris. In the headlines, it's sworn in to serve on Tatan Savanpai Tukari Cottage Village Council. New approaches to curb spread of black Sigatoka. And Prime Minister Skerrit says his health policies have not been fully implemented. The details of the headline stories and more when we return.
I love the freedom when I'm out there. Simply put, the worries from shore. None of that out there. And it's my daily bread. I learned it from my dad. My dad is one of the senior guys here who catch the biggest fish around here. And he's top with the red snappers. It's a family thing. I'm the only one fishing right now in the family. Just keeping it going. I enjoy bringing them up, man. Sometimes you have a yellowfin tuna, 400 pounds. Man, let me tell you, that's just a joy out there. I enjoy going out there and just holding the big fish. I don't lift weights, I lift fish. The morning of my fishing trip, I would get up, make a little spiced tea. Then I come down here. I have my GPS, which most fishermen are supposed to have that. Normally I prepare the day before, because whenever you're going out there, you must have ice. Ice is a must for preservation of the fish. So I always make sure I have everything the day before. My fish represents me, and I bring good quality fish ashore simply because the restaurants themselves, they have to show a quality product. Tourism and agriculture go hand in hand, that's what I think. We're all connected. It's like a big machine, and I'm just so proud to be a part of it. My name is Brandon Carlisle, and tourism is my business.
Welcome back. As Local Government Month kicks off, another village council has been sworn in to champion the rights of their residents. Curvia John reports.
8 councillors took the oath of office, pledging to uphold the rights of the citizens at the 18th inaugural meeting of the Tatan Savanpai Tukari and Cottage Village Council. The councillors were sworn in on Wednesday, May 3rd, 2023, at the Savanpai Primary School, before receiving their credentials from Minister of Responsibility for Local Government, Honorable Greta Roberts. Sandra Andre, Romelia Romain Burton, Vernon John Baptist, Catherine Joseph, and Lucina Sejan were the elected councillors, while Anita Florita Joseph, Ashton Mason, and Roseanne Mason were nominated. Acting District Development Officer for the North, Mrs. Barbara Phillip, urged the councillors to be accountable and transparent with the resources made available to them.
I want to congratulate this team of 6 women and 2 men who have taken and accepted the challenge to lead your community for these next 3 years. Councillors, you have been charged with the good governance of your community. Therefore, you are expected to be accountable and transparent in conducting the affairs of your beloved community. Please manage the state and community resources efficiently as you focus on the economic development of your community. As you serve your term of office, I encourage you to meet with your residents and discuss and prioritize the needs of your people and adequately utilize the limited resources available for the good of your community.
Outgoing Chairman Mr. Brendan Mason thanked the residents for giving him the opportunity to serve them for the last 3 years.
It's not the obstacle that is placed in front of you, but how you go about handling those obstacles. So, with that being said to me, I was skeptical and I was thinking, oh, she's right. There might be a high tree in your way. You don't have to go cutting from the bottom because it might fall on you. You have to cut from the top, from down. So when she told me that, I worked my way through it and I did what I could. And I'm here today to say thank you for giving me that opportunity, that responsibility for 3 years.
Meanwhile, incoming chairman Mr. Ashton Mason stated that the availability of nominated candidates for the village council shows a high level of volunteerism in the community. He reassured residents that this newly sworn-in council looks forward to working with them for the development of their communities.
Rest assured that this new council endeavors to work assiduously to continue growing your confidence in the local government movement by building your trust in us and working hand in hand with us to attempt to bring our community back to its glory days when volunteerism, community involvement, and participation in council's activities was our hallmark. Let me commend the 13 persons who have shown their interest in serving the residents of our communities. This council looks forward to engaging with you as we put plans and programs together for our community.
Member of Parliament for the Cottage constituency, Honorable Roland Royer, congratulated the new council on their appointment.
Today we begin a new chapter and have the singular privilege of becoming part of our history with you, the new councillors, while forging a path to our future. I want to congratulate our new council and our new chairman, and I wish you well. I think the theme that the Division of Local Government has adopted for the observance of a Local Government Month this year is quite fitting. A more resilient local government system that delivers quality services. And I suspect this inauguration is a first for me as well. The theme for the month is in sync with government's mandate to become the first climate resilient country in the world. So I want to congratulate you and your efforts and wish you well for successful month's activity.
Minister for Community Development, Honorable Greta Roberts, noted that to have a productive local government division, there must be effective leadership at the community level.
I want to impress upon you that community leadership is at the heart of modern local government. Councils must work in partnership with local communities and organizations, whether it be public, voluntary, community, or private sector organizations, to develop a vision for the area, and most importantly, work collaboratively to improve the services and quality of life of the residents of your community. Such collaborative efforts between council and government have brought tangible benefits to community residents and have improved the overall quality of life of all citizens.
Meanwhile, Minister for Tourism, Honorable Dennis Charles, told the new council that to uphold government's mandate of creating a sustainable life for all citizens, they must collaborate with central government.
Your dedication and support are appreciated, especially as you sacrifice to continuously share your time, talents, and treasures for the good of others. As part of government's mandate to develop our people socially, economically, and ultimately to make things better for you, our people, it is important that the council works closely with the parliamentary representative and central government in order to ensure that all residents are engaged in the transformation of our country into a dynamic economy.
The Tatan, Savonpai, Tukari, and Cottage Village Council was first inaugurated in 1973. Kuvia John for the Government Information Service.
New approaches are being implemented to curb the spread of black Sigatoka. The Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, Blue and Green Economy, through the Emergency Agricultural Livelihoods and Climate Resilience Project and the Banana and Plantain Unit, has hosted a workshop for the banana and plantain farmers. The workshop took place at the Stadium Conference Center on Thursday, May 4, 2023. The black Sigatoka disease has been affecting the banana and plantain crops since its detection in July of 2012. Black Sigatoka is a leaf spot disease of banana and plantain plants caused by a fungus. Plants with leaves damaged by the disease may yield up to 50% less fruit. The fungal disease causes dark leaf spots that eventually enlarge and combine, causing much of the leaf area to turn yellow and brown. Director of the Banana and Plantain Unit, Mrs. Dayan Stout, says production will vary based on the management of pests and diseases.
Weeds causes a lot of damage on your farm. This reduces your production. It's not only compete for nutrients, but it also can be host of that particular pest on your field. So that is why it is necessary that you are able to keep your weeds at a certain height on your farm. I'm not saying to remove everything, because at the same time we need a balanced ecosystem, but it is wise that you keep your weeds at a certain level.
Mrs. Stout says one of the important steps to managing pests and disease is by sourcing clean planting material.
Most times we normally get our planting material from neighbors or from all over Dominica, and we don't really think of, are these planting material that I am getting a pest free? Are they going to contribute to the population of pests on my field? Okay, so whenever, yes, some of us, yes, we need the planting material, but it is wise that we know that whatever we are getting and bringing back to our farms are free of pests and disease.
The effective management of black sigatoka will mitigate the spread of the disease while also reassuring farmers of the crop safety.
For bananas and plantain also, the triple superphosphate and the diammonium phosphate are very critical for their growth. These two fertilizer regimes are very important for bananas and plantain. And what I have advised my farmers to do, and I see that they are receiving results of that, ask them to feed both the plants below and above. Feed through the leaves and feed through the root system. And how we do the feeding through the root system, we use foliar fertilizers. 10-10-10, 20-20-20, these are complete fertilizers. Also, for example, if the farmers don't want to use the synthetic aspect, like the 20-20-20 strip, the powdery one, they can use the Bio-20. The Bio-20 is 20-20-20, but it's organic. It's an organic form.
Meanwhile, Director of Agriculture, Mr. Ricky Brumant, believes the ministry is providing the opportunity for farmers to strengthen their ability to perform.
I think we must change the narrative and move towards more positive utterances and ensure we continue to capture what it is the sector can continue to offer. Because the sector can continue to offer a lot more if our orientation is more positive. When we look over the decades as well, government has made substantial investment in the sector. And if you look at the past 20 years, if we're not at $1 billion, I don't know where we are. Last year alone, pretty close to $100 million. So let's look at 20 years. If we're not nowhere close to $1 billion, I don't know where we are. And so we've put substantial resources in developing a sector that has meant a lot to us. So let us continue to do that.
The first symptoms of black sigatoka disease are tiny chlorotic spots that appear on the bottom surface of the third or fourth open leaf. The spots grow into thin brown streaks that are limited by leaf veins. The color of the streaks become darker, sometimes with a purple tinge, and visible on the top surface. Prime Minister the Honorable Roosevelt Skerritt believes that the administration at the Dominica China Friendship Hospital needs to do more to inform the public of the services offered at the hospital. At a recent press conference, the Prime Minister responded to reporters' questions as to why certain individuals continue to seek medical care abroad. The Prime Minister believes part of the problem is that people are not made aware of available health services at the hospital. He says his original plan for the hospital has not been fully implemented.
There's a policy in place in the government that people 18 and younger and 60 and over will be provided with free medical care. As long as I'm in the Prime Minister of the country, it's not going to change. This is a fundamental principal position
and in conformity with international requirements, that we need to ensure that every citizen has access to medical care, irrespective of your economic circumstances. The reality is the Ministry of Health never implemented the policy of the government properly.
The Prime Minister expressed concern that as a result of the failure to implement his policies for the administration of the hospital, some patients who are able to pay fail to do so.
We indicated as part of that policy decision that those who have insurance and who fall into those categories would be required, their insurance would be required to pay. That was never implemented, that aspect of it. Because sometimes when I propose measures in this country that benefit the people, there are people within the system who are opposed to it. And because they're opposed to it, they don't go about implementing it the way that I have articulated it in the policy. And I take the blame for it. That's fine, I'm the leader of the country. But not because I don't speak to those things. And I think I need to start speaking about those things.
The Prime Minister believes it may be time to speak out more about the pushback he receives from the system in his attempts to advance his policies.
Our country, I believe, if people will listen to me more, will be more advanced than it is today. Because time for me is priceless. What I can do today, we should leave for tomorrow to do. You understand? And so, people who have insurance were required to pay. But because the Ministry of Health then, they were opposed to this progressive policy, and I will tell people in Dominica too, that when I went to Cuba, and I sat down with President Hugo Chavez and President Fidel Castro, we come up with a master plan to advance the healthcare in Dominica, as presented by me. And Hugo Chavez was prepared to finance it, financially, buying the equipment, and President Fidel was providing the human resources.
The Prime Minister says as a result, certain decisions were taken on the ground which were in direct alignment with a master plan for the advancement of Dominica's healthcare system.
When I went to Cuba, and I sat down with President Hugo Chavez and President Fidel Castro, we come up with a master plan to advance the healthcare in Dominica, as presented by me. And Hugo Chavez was prepared to finance it, financially, buying the equipment, and President Fidel was providing the human resources. That is why you realize in Portsmouth, we introduced a whole set of diagnostic tests, including X-ray machines in Portsmouth. And Fidel Castro, President Fidel May, soul rest in peace, sent me 15 medical practitioners to man the Portsmouth Hospital. And the intention was to transform Granby into a polyclinic, to transform Castlebrooke into a polyclinic, to transform Napoli into a polyclinic, to transform St. Joseph into a polyclinic. And this is how we got the ICU for the first time.
The Prime Minister says even the introduction of the ICU was not fully embraced locally.
When I introduced the ICU into Dominica, people in the Ministry of Health were opposed to it. I had to go myself as Prime Minister of the country and to go and fetch a location for the ICU unit, where it should be placed. And to, at first time in our history in 2005, we ended up having an ICU unit in Dominica. And we in Dominica must stop this notion of researching for little things that are not working properly, and we want to blow it up, and we don't pay attention to the many positive things that are happening and give God thanks for it.
You are watching National Focus. More when we return. Welcome back. Progress has been recorded on the international airport since the last media tour led by Prime Minister the Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit. Dominica's international airport project is the biggest contracted project in the country's history. The Dominica International Airport will open up a world of opportunities for socio-economic growth as jobs become available during and after its construction for the residents of Wesley and Dominica by extension. The new air cargo capabilities provided by a completed international airport will result in greater export of agricultural produce, including perishable goods, to new markets. Dominica will now be well positioned to expand its export of cut flowers and other fresh produce to both regional and international markets. The international airport is expected to be completed and commissioned by the end of 2026. With a runway length of 2,850 meters, making it possible to handle wide-body aircraft on direct routes from North America, Europe, and key cities in Asia. Some residents had to be relocated during the acquisition of land for this major project. As a result, government, in partnership with MMCE, developed the Joe Burton housing site, where homes were built for dislocated residents. Currently, many are already housed at Joe Burton. Meanwhile, others have received compensation for their lands and properties. A lab for the testing of the soil at the airport site has also been completed and is fully equipped. Heavy equipment from China for construction arrived on island in March 2023, with more expected as the project progresses. The people of Wesley have elected a new team to serve their community. 5 candidates were chosen to represent the village council when elections took place on May 3rd, 2023. 7 people were nominated to contest this year's elections. Braun Phillip topped the polls with 184 votes, Charles McClare Richards with 100, Kristen Basil 128 votes, Dishon Marie 114 votes, and Shernon Telemac 107 votes. The other nominees who contested the elections were Clint Rule and Francis Randy Prosper. Presiding officer Deb Auguste is hopeful for a better turnout in the next village council elections. She expressed dissatisfaction with the number of people who failed to exercise their right to vote.
The voter turnout to me wasn't that good because based on the voters list, the number of persons that are registered here, the turnout wasn't that very good because both polling stations just had about 117 or 18 votes. So it wasn't very good to me. That's my opinion. And I noticed that not many young persons came to vote. So a lot of the young persons didn't come. So you had more of the older persons were coming, but the younger persons were not showing up.
Newly elected member Mr. Charles Richards expressed gratitude to those who turned out to vote for him. He spoke of his plans to bring togetherness in the community.
We cannot do it. 8-member council cannot do the work. We have to mobilize our people. Our people are supposed to be united, for us to do the work, because just 8 members of the council cannot do anything without the backing of the community. So we need, first of all, to get our people united, and then to do the work that needs to be done.
A first-time member of the Wesley Village Council, Ms. Shernon Telemac, says one of her main objectives is to develop sports in the area.
If I have to push myself forward to try to build up sports, that was one of my reasons of actually trying to be part of the council, to make sports back in Wesley, revitalize sports again. And I also think maybe we should try to put some benches down at the park, because when you have cricket and we have rounders, there's no seating there. So maybe some seating down there would be good for the village as well.
Meanwhile, a new team was also elected to serve on the Marigot Village Council as of May 3, 2023. Michael Pascal won the elections with a total of 156 votes. He was followed by Brian Linton with 151 votes, Moesha Jones 137, Washington Linton 135, and Marietta Gordon with 115. There were 7 other nominees. 226 members of the electorate voted, 137 of which were male and 129 female. There were 7 rejected ballots. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Blue and Green Economy, Mr. Reginald Severin, has urged the extension officers in the ministry to remain committed to delivering quality service to the farmers they serve. Mr. Severin was addressing the closing ceremony of a 4-day training program on soil diagnostic testing for the development of a national soil health plan held last Thursday at the UE Open Campus. As part of the Emergency Agricultural Livelihoods and Climate Resilience Project, the ministry targets interventions that will enhance the ministry's capacity to improve delivery of its mandates and services. One of the areas of focus is the improvement and modernization of extension services of the Division of Agriculture. As part of the closing ceremony, the officers received soil testing kits, which Mr. Severin encouraged them to use when visiting the farms.
I want to encourage every extension officer here that is listening to me this afternoon and understand that you have a special and personal relationship with farmers. You are the nexus between we at administration and the farmer who is out there producing. You are the ones who give us the feedback. These tools are useful tools to give us timely, accurate, scientific-based feedback on what is going on with the farmers. So we remove the emotions out of agriculture and we take motion forward. All right? We move agriculture not by our emotions, but by clear, practical outputs, clear targets, and utilizing the science that is well-formed, well-reached, well-developed in 2023 and beyond.
He told the officers that there must be a greater use of technology in data collection on the farms so that the ministry is better able to assist farmers.
Bringing technology to the farm is part of our task as extension officer and as a Ministry of Agriculture as a whole. So I'm looking forward to each of you practicing what you learn, putting it into gear, and let us hear the feedback from the farmers that definitely they are feeling extension and they are recognizing that something different is happening.
The Permanent Secretary advised the officers to create a balanced schedule where they are able to dedicate ample time to the farmers in their agricultural region.
Balance your time between your farming activities and your work activities. And the easiest way to do that is to have a program of work. Prepare clear program of work, establish those program of work, let your supervisors have it so that they know that this is what you're supposed to accomplish for the month, and the rest of the time is your time to do what you want on your farm. And if we have this arrangement and we understand that that is how we're going to work, then we will not have to be bothered and saying, but this guy is not spending time with the farmers. Or the farmers are not complaining and saying, I'm not seeing my extension officer.
Soil testing is meant to provide an accurate assessment of the soil's fertility and to make fertilizer recommendations. With the increasing awareness of fertilizer effects on environmental quality, soil tests can also be used to determine where fertilizers or manure should not be applied. The program was hosted by the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Blue and Green Economy, and facilitated by Dr. GIS Udoxi. 40 extension officers participated in this training. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. Be sure to follow GIS Dominica on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitter. You can also drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm. From all of us here on the GIS News Production team, I'm Julian Morris. Thanks for watching.